stuck in the mud, don't know which step to take. I don't know if I'll make it before I break. Take me, friends, I am yours. I'd buy you for all the money in the world. La 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 la.
I got stopped by a security guard who had a gun, and
Like a security guard from a building?
yeah, it was from the building. He wouldn't let me take pictures. I says, why can't I take pictures?
On Fifth Avenue?
On top of Fifth Avenue by the Apple Store. He says, because of terrorism. I says, terrorism? I says, what are you talking about? He says, do you know any Muslims? I goes, what do you mean Muslims? Do you know any Muslims? He says, yeah. He says, do you know any Muslims? I said, I don't know. He says, well, they might seem like normal people, but given any minute they can kill. And I'm like, I'm glad you've got a gun, mate.
I'm not.
Imagine you can't even you can't even take pictures. It's like
Well, I can.
you can.
I can, but I can't in his mind. I can by law.
The law is you're allowed to take pictures.
Anywhere on the street, yeah.
But down the bridges, you're not allowed. There's even signs that say you can. It's like, what kind of
no,
heavy
you can.
crap is this?
That's that's rubbish. That's just fear-mongering.
It's fear. There's a lot of fear.
Yeah. Just everybody's getting scared for nothing.
You can say it's for nothing. Right?
Well, it's probably for war, isn't it? It's a good reason to rally people around war.
It's a
No, but
good
you
tool
could
to keep people kind of doing what authorities want.
Fear played a big part in why people vote the way they vote. Like, you want to be taken care of when you feel like this huge threat is going to come and get you. You kind of want mommy and daddy to come take care of you when it gets so heavy.
Think of it this way. On one hand, it is fear-mongering, which we can see. On the other hand, you look at the world, is it really that much of mongering versus sort of just looking at reality and extrapolating what happens everywhere else in the world to what might potentially happen here? Because if you look at, the Middle East, you look at... you were just in Moscow like a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
Look, they had the terrorist attacks there.
They just throw a couple of bombs or a couple of suicide bombers.
That's what they do, but what do we do? What do we do when somebody rises up? We assassinate a politician.
Well, if you could just step back and look at the conflict, really, since when it began centuries ago, think back to the Crusades. What really changed between the Crusades and now? Just the playing field. But the conflict, the players are the same.
Still the East and the West.
The cultures, the East and the West, it's still the same thing. And just a few little technical details.
I remember one time walking towards Dizengoff Center, which is like a big shopping mall in the middle of Tel Aviv, to meet a friend. And a few hundred yards from getting there was a big boom around the corner, a big... basically suicide terrorists. And all I remember is all of a sudden hearing this thing, seeing black smoke coming up, and all of a sudden a crowd of people running towards me, and I just turned around, became one with the crowd. And
do you think that Iran could attack Israel with a nuclear weapon? I mean, do you think that this could escalate?
Even if somehow Iran was to go away, if we look at what's been going on in the past few decades, things aren't getting better either way, even if somehow Iran was to become peaceful.
So do you see a third world war happening?
Well, how can you not? How
wow,
can you not? Look
that's
at the
pretty
world.
Crazy to say.
Look at the world, and it's not just
there's all these things about 2012. Everything's gonna align. Everything's gonna get better.
Who's really the better?
Is it going to get worse?
The end of the world?
It really feels inevitable to you.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be. Look, this is what the Zohar has talked about for centuries, many centuries, ever since it was written. It has pointed to the end of the 20th century as, the key time when this conflict was going to come to its boiling point. And at that point, humanity is going to take either Route 1 or Route 2. Route 1 being the very unpleasant, forced, path of development by being pushed from behind by nature. This is what we've been witnessing over the past, ever since. essentially, especially in the 20th century. All the wars, the First, Second World War, all the sufferings.
Okay, fine. Either we go through World War III and then World War IV, or what?
Or we use the force that the Kabbalists have left behind. It's a guidebook, essentially, which doesn't say anything about this world. So when I say World War III, World War IV, those things can either be, they can either materialize in this world, they can either transpire at our level, or we can take them to the spiritual level and we could go through the same states at that level and not have to have them materialize in this world with all the destruction and all.
What do you mean when you say go through those states?
Well, that's essentially, as we know, the Zohar says nothing of this world, even though it has, you know, a lot of people that study the Zohar intellectually, not Kabbalists, they say, well, you know, look, the Zohar says this about the planets that it gets, which is true, by the way, it gets the number of planets like in the galaxy to an astonishingly close number to what science has gotten. And about the Zohar has like parts about the heart and the valves and the capillaries and how that all plays together. And this was written 2,000 years ago, before modern science has proven any of this stuff. So on the one hand, you have all that information. On the other hand, we have to remember it says nothing about this world. So all the information about the planets, the heart, the capillaries, all that is talking about the spiritual concept, the concepts of what these things are on a higher level, on a level that we don't yet perceive, which is why it's so difficult.
What does this have to do about World War III?
Well, because it describes World War III on that level, that we can. It's a state that we must go through. It's a state of realizing our separation.
Inevitably.
Of course.
Whether it happens
So why are
physically.
why even study anything if it's gonna inevitably gonna happen? So
Because it's a very different way of going through it. If we let nature push us to it on a corporal level, we'll have to physically go through all
So
this suffering.
these sensations, no matter what, have to be passed through.
There's one thing that I didn't mention that I think is gonna give this the right spice. When you do it independently, when you want to do it, when you build within
Independently,
yourself,
not alone.
I mean when you don't wait to be pushed behind, to be pushed by suffering to do something that must be done.
Okay.
You gain a flavor. It's gonna feel like a person who finds out that he has cancer. And as soon as he finds out that he has cancer, he finds out that there is an operation that he can go through that's gonna cure him. Now, the operation in itself is incredibly painful. It's suffering. It's a lot of suffering. Plus, on top of that, he doesn't have insurance, so he has to pay 50 grand out of his own pocket. He gladly jumps on the operating table, gives the surgeon the knife, and says, "Cut me up, doc, and here's the money." He gladly accepts this suffering because he knows that at the end, he's going to be saved. At the end, it's going to save his
It
life.
just seems so sickening that the whole thing is like it's like creating a being, a child, or whatever.
Hold on, don't even go there.
Okay.
Look, stay in this example with me. Now,
I am,
Like,
but
what would happen? Think of it this way. What would happen if the same person who's now lying at the operating table, he doesn't have that knowledge that at the end of this session, his life is going to be saved. If he doesn't know that, all he knows is that he's being cut up by a stranger, and he's giving money to the stranger to be tortured.
Okay,
That knowledge changes everything. That knowledge, knowing that there is a goal to this, that it's goal-oriented, it's purposeful, it's deliberate, there is a plan. You realize that your life is being saved.
don't you have to like have some sort of blind belief in the surgeon that he's going to do the right job in this, and he's going to actually save you when you give him the money and jump on the table?
Well, I mean, you
have no knowledge of the outcome. So what's
let's say that you do have now. In this example, you kind of have to make it work by assuming that the surgeon knows what he's doing and he's actually going to save you. He's going to cut out the tumor.
He's got a good reputation.
He's going to
No, you just paid him a load of money.
He's going to cut out the tumor and it's going
that
to
helps
work.
too, you know.
Yeah.
Helps your faith and belief in it.
Yeah.
Totally.
If it cost me that much money, it must.
I hope it's good.
The thing is, though, it's not about blind faith at all. It's very different. I mean, how can an autonomous, willful decision be about blind faith? It can't be. Essentially, what the Zohar is telling us is, follow me and I will take you to a place where you will see for yourself that this is what it's really like. That these are the states that really must be gone through. This is what humanity must do. Humanity must overcome, right, the ego, the hatred. That's how did we get into this topic? I'm talking about the situation in the world, the terror, the unease and then the restlessness that everybody feels. This is the mountain that we need to surmount. And the Zohar, written 2,000 years ago, and in that book, it's written that it's going to be only revealed now because now we're finally ready. We're finally developed enough.
You have enough cancer.
Enough cancer, that's exactly it. We have enough cancer to be able to recognize that we have cancer. Because when you have a little bit of cancer, it's difficult to spot. But when the tumor grows large enough, you can't ignore it anymore. And right now you look at our society, you can't ignore the tumor that we've become.
Right, you can't even take a picture on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
That's big.
Right?
Yeah.
Even you could be a
terrorist.
terrorist.
He looks like that,
Thank
right?
you. Terrorist from England.
Yeah, basically.
I saw you in a kilt once.
That
That was
is,
meant to be
yeah.
terrifying.